Rewarding word of mouth introductions is probably the greyest area of anything in the partnership space because it's so subjective. It's up to both you and your business and your personality type. It's down to the nature of the referral. It's down to the partner type who's referring you and even the individual partner. I think the key thing to remember here with all of this though is that one size doesn't fit all. Yes, every introduction should be rewarded in some way, shape or form, but there will be different motives as to why people referred you in the first place. For example, a casual referrer who's a customer or someone in your network or friends or family maybe isn't interested in a commercial reward. A strategic partner, however, probably should have a commercial angle, but typically it's not the be all and end all as to why they're referring you. Or you may have affiliates where it's all about that commercial revenue piece. And so I think it's really key to make sure you're matching your rewards to people's motivations. So many business owners I see launch a referral program and they go all guns blazing and they put it on their website and all their social channels, and it really pushes just one type of reward. And while that might be great for some, you're in danger of alienating others. So it's really important, as I said, just to make sure that you're not going for a one-size-fits-all approach when you're looking at rewarding your partners. Very quickly, by the way, bonus points and a surprise prize for anyone who can mention why this chap's popping up right now. Okay, one thing that is unique across all partner types with introductions, though, is the need for them to feel appreciated and for you to show your appreciation. Now, while this isn't a reward as such, it is essential in getting these introductions coming through to you on a repeat basis. It's absolutely vital that you say thank you at point of introduction and then thank you again at however that introduction is resolved, no matter what the outcome. And the communication during what sales process or communication process you have is also absolutely vital. Now, if you're working with partners or affiliates where they're providing you with a really high volume of leads, there may be a personal thank you at every lead and at every conclusion and at every milestone isn't necessary. I get that. Maybe it's automated, maybe it's done through a self-serve dashboard, maybe there's some other type of way of doing it en masse. But the communication is absolutely still key and they still need to feel valued. So on that note, the way to show appreciation is maybe going above and beyond ad hoc points in the journey, taking them to lunch, sending them things, maybe it's a hamper at Christmas, maybe whatever it may be, showing that extra level of appreciation to your consistent partners and affiliates and referrers is a really strong way to make sure that you get those leads on a consistent basis outside of any expected reward. I did do a video previously on kind of added extras and gifts, and I will put a link to that in the comments. A quick note about rewarding what I would call casual referrals. So someone from within your network or your customers who have referred you just because they have. Maybe you've asked them, maybe you haven't. It can be really, really dangerous to overly push a financial incentive on these people, particularly if you want repeat referrers. You see, not everyone is driven by that commercial reward. And actually there's lots of studies that show if you over incentivize something that someone wanted to do anyway, just because they enjoyed it or they wanted to, or they felt like it was the right thing to do, then actually you can make it less likely for them to do that in future. In fact, check out a brilliant book called Drive by Dan Pink, which talks about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. And so the danger with if you push a financial reward on your customers and your network too much is that actually they don't end up referring you when they would have done otherwise. Now the problem comes that some people are money motivated, and this is one of those grey areas again where only you know your audience and even the individual person you're talking to, and also how congruent it is with your business. If you're a coach or a consultant who's working with people on business growth, then it probably is more congruent to have that kind of financial piece in place. but won't be the same for every business. And that's what I mean about you having to use your own judgment about who you think a financial incentive would work with. But be really careful, because just because it would incentivize you, it doesn't mean it would incentivize someone else. There's no right or wrong here, but for what it's worth, here's my thoughts on it. All referrals, when it's just a unexpected one, should be rewarded. But a personal gift for the individual, and particularly if you know them and you can put some thought behind it, so it is genuinely personal to them, not just personal from you, will often go down better. It shows you've cared, it shows you've thought about it, and everyone likes receiving those. What you can do after that, though, is if you think the person may be interested in an ongoing reward, is mention that you do have a referral program, that you're happy to put some financial rewards in place, and see what they say. Doing it that way round just relieves a little bit of pressure, because what you don't want to happen is for someone to feel like you think they would only refer you because there's a financial incentive. Providing a financial incentive as a thank you is something completely different, but you need to have that conversation with people often in order to get that across the line. As I say, very different with strategic partners and affiliates, but where it's your network who are potentially just referring you because they want to and because they see the value in what you do and the value it will deliver to the person they're referring, just be careful on how you reward. A personal thank you and a personal reward, and be that a bottle of wine or gift voucher for somewhere or something personal to them, will often go down better. Where we're looking at a financial reward for your introductions, something to consider right at the outset is whether you're going to reward with a set fee or whether you're going to do a percentage of sale. And there's no right or wrong here. Things to consider would be, is your own product or service a one-off project-based thing or recurring revenue? How quickly do you receive monies in? What margins are you on? And all these will play into your decision making. If you're offering a really high value service, then maybe a percentage of sale isn't actually relevant. And the same is true in reverse. If you're offering a relatively low value and recurring payment, then offering a set fee that's high enough to incentivize someone to want to refer you on an ongoing basis, again, maybe not be feasible. So just think about what's viable for your business in terms of what you can afford, in terms of margins from initial outlay, but what is actually going to incentivize a partner or affiliate to refer you on that consistent basis that you want. You want them to be inspired to refer you, but at the same time, you don't want to either begrudge those leads coming through because you're not making enough margin on them, or heaven forbid, they actually put you in financial difficulty if something goes wrong. Typically, where a business is offering a recurring revenue product over time, that's when you normally see a percentage of revenue as the reward given. Where a product or a service is a set fee, that's when you might see a set fee reflected in the reward, but not all the time. It could still be a percentage. There is no right or wrong here, as I said. It's up to you to decide what works best for your business and what you think will work best for your partners. I think the most commonly used, particularly in the B2B space, is a percentage of sale, but it's up to you and your business. Once you've decided whether you're looking at a set fee or a percentage of sale, the next thing to consider is whether you're looking at doing that as a one-off or lifetime value of the customer or a set period of time. Now, I'm a big fan of providing commission for lifetime value. Lifetime of the customer. I'm just going to put that out there. In my eyes, I'd rather have 80 or 90% of something than 100% of the nothing that I would have had if that introduction hadn't been made. That said, I do understand the arguments of, if you've been able to nurture a customer and get them to either upsell or continue working with you or buy new products, that actually that's more down to you than the original introduction. So here's some things to consider in the interest of balance and finding some middle ground. So one could be that if you are on a recurring revenue product, that actually someone's commission drops after the first year. The same could be if you're doing project-based work, that someone gets a percentage fee for the first bit of work where they introduce, and then they get a lower rate for any subsequent work that comes in. Something else you could look to do if you want to make sure that you're continuing to reward your more active partners without giving away margin to those that aren't supporting your business is say that you'll only provide commission at any rate or reduced rate, or it's completely up to you, for people who are still active referrers. Now, this active referrer, it can be completely at your discretion. It could be volume of leads. It could be the last time that you received a lead. It could be the last time that you received a lead that converted. And there can be any number of things. And the good thing is that you can still have flexibility within this. If it's within a partnership agreement, that's the case, but actually there are partners where you know they're still putting the work in or you still wanted to reward them, well then it's at your discretion to do so. But if you wanted to put that safety net in place, then you absolutely can do. So yeah, just important to think about how long and to what level you're going to reward your partners on an ongoing basis. It comes back to, again, you want to incentivize and inspire your partners, and you don't want to begrudge any partner leads coming through. So it's about finding that happy balance. If you have a high volume of partners, and especially if those high volume of partners are providing a high volume of leads, then you may want to look at some additional ways to help inspire and motivate your partners to provide an increased volume of leads. And I've seen a few people do things in a different way. One way can be a sliding scale of commission. So I've seen setups where, depending on either the volume or value of leads you've provided, you get a higher percentage of commission. So you tier your partners based on their performance. That can be a really good way to inspire partners and reward those that put the most effort in. Another thing that you can do, particularly if your partner types are those that are sales focused, shall we say, these people can quite often be inspired and driven by a bit of healthy competition. By publicly communicating how well your various partners are doing, be that like a leaderboard on a partner newsletter or something like that, the right sorts of partners can be really inspired to want to rise up that ranking and rise up that leaderboard and get the kudos and everything that comes from it. It is something you need to be careful about though, because it only works with certain types of partners, typically those, as I said, who are in a sales space, they're money motivated, maybe they're used to a commission-based environment in their normal day job, but can work really, really well. I know a couple of organisations that do that. It works for me sometimes. I love a bit of healthy competition. A slightly softer approach, but one that can be used across all types, is competitions. So if you want to try and drive partner and word of mouth leads into your business at a specific time, then potentially you could run a competition. And that could be on for the volume of leads or the value of referrals that come in over a set period of time, and the person that wins that, or you can do a tiered 1, 2, 3 of prizes, as well as their normal reward. They get entered into a bigger pot for something else, be it an iPad or a spa break or whatever it may be. The only thing to consider here, of course, is you want to be confident that you're going to get the level of upturn that allows you to invest in whatever the prices are going to be. You don't want to be out of pocket. But if you've got a referral program in place already and a partner program in place already, then it's probably quite easy to do the calculations there and know what sort of hit you can take. But it can be a really good way to drive that extra value or volume at a specific point in time. So I would always recommend just automatically paying your partners, typically on a monthly basis, for any partner commissions that they are due in, rather than having to go through an invoice process. You want to make it as easy as possible for your partners, but you do need to bear in mind how that could reflect back on you. So what happens if a customer ups and leaves earlier than expected? This is especially true if you're rewarding your introductions with a set fee. You need to think about any clawbacks that people have, any rights of refunds, any upfront work and upfront cost that you put into a relationship, and make sure that your terms and conditions for when and how you reward your partners reflect that. If you're charging for example, £100 a month over a 12-month contract, but actually the first 2 months are where there's £500 of cost, well, then you don't want to be paying out a set fee that exceeds that in the early stages. You want to make sure that your costs are at least covered before you start paying out. And the same is true with rebates and returns and clawbacks and things like that. So just have a think about the point in time in the customer journey when you know that you've got confirmed margin, and just make sure your partner terms and conditions reflect when you can afford to make that payout. What you don't want to be doing is going back to partners and asking them for refunds on the referral commissions that you've given. That just doesn't work, and it makes it a little bit of a mess for everyone. So it seems obvious thing, but just take the time to make sure that you've got that. Make sure you've got that in place. Something slightly different in terms of partnerships and their reward structure is that there will be some partners out there who will expect you to potentially pay to play. And what I mean by that is they may charge a partnership fee to enable you to get access to their network, even though you may then very well still be rewarding that partner on a cost per lead or on a sale basis after that fact. This typically happens when someone has either a big network that they know that you value highly, or where there's upfront work for the partner to do because they're actually going to really push you, and there's a heavy amount of maybe tech integration or any other marketing activity. Now, these do happen. Back in my membership days, we used to charge people in order to come and get access to our network, and it works really positively. I've got some great stories around that, but I have heard lots and lots of horror stories of people paying big sums of money in order to partner and get access to a network and not getting much in return. So here's some things that if you find yourself in that situation, just to think about. And that would be, what are anticipated results, and getting those absolutely down on paper. Does the partner have any proof of that type of activity and previous results? Are there other partners that you can speak to that have had a similar relationship with them? All fairly obvious things to ask. Something else you could look at as well is whether it might be because there's an element of work that needs to be undertaken at the outset, is could that work be offset against future commissions? So yes, you may pay an upfront fee to get access to that partner and their network, but then those initial sales that come through don't have a commission that's attached to them until that upfront fee or an element of that upfront fee has been paid off. These are all things that I've worked with before and do work and do happen. It doesn't come up that often, but just worth bearing in mind in case you do find yourself in that situation. Another form of reward is cross referrals. So rewarding someone by introducing them to other people in return for them introducing you. Now, I've recorded videos on this before, but I thought it was relevant to cover again. I'm not a fan. So I absolutely am a fan of referring people. And if you can refer back to your partner, then great, you absolutely should do it. It's only going to strengthen the relationship. But basing a whole relationship on that is a little bit dangerous. And that's because very rarely do you find a partner who can refer you consistently where you can refer them equally as consistently, which means the relationship's an unbalanced one, which means sometimes people can feel a bit resentful over time. And if not resentful, the relationships can peter out because one person doesn't value it as much as the other. Unless those expectations are really clearly set out at the start and people are happy with that, but that fizzle out still potentially happens. So what I would say is, while never say never to cross referrals working well, because I do know instances where they have worked brilliantly, just be really careful about entering into one of those because they're typically more casual and you won't get the results that you're looking for in my experience. One scenario to consider is when the person making the introduction to you doesn't want to receive their reward. They want to pass it on, either because they want to themselves and it's a personal preference, or maybe because they're from an industry that's regulated and they're not able to receive those. So in that instance, just think about how you might deal with that. And there's probably two main ways. Some people might want that reward, whatever it may be, to be passed on to the person they've referred, maybe in the form of a discount. Now, it'll be up to you how you want to deal with that, particularly if you're working with a partner who's maybe publicly declaring that discount. Do you want to see your price point and your product or your service discounted, even if it is through a partner channel. It's something that happens quite frequently, but it may not be something that you're comfortable with. And even on a one-to-one basis, do you want someone getting your product or service at a discounted rate? Maybe you might feel that that undervalues it. Complete personal preference is absolutely down to you and your brand and your business, but it's just something to consider in case it comes up. The other way to pass it on, and I've seen people do this really successfully, is to have some kind of charity pot. So you can either have a fund that if people don't want to receive a commission and it's something that you're happy to pay and allocate it to, that it goes into this charity pot. And that can be any number of things, from things close to home to further afield, from environmental to people issues, whatever suits you and your brand. And in fact, that opens up a whole load of other marketing opportunities when you talk about maybe having a chosen charity for the year and all that stuff. It enables you, as well as doing some really good, valuable work and using the kind of the abundance that partnerships and collaboration create to do something good. And it also gives you a nice extra way of getting more profile to the fact that you do have a partner program, because it gives you another reason to talk about the good work that you're doing. And there's nothing wrong if you want to have that option in place and you're marketing your referral program or your partner program. There's nothing wrong with having those options in place, that people can either get this reward or they can donate it over here, and then it's up to the individuals as to what they want to do. My final thing to consider on how you're rewarding introductions from partners and affiliates and referral partners is who gets the reward. So it's absolutely vital that you know where your leads have come from. If someone's referred you in, or a partner has put a lead in, that you know where that sale or that introduction has come from. But if you're dealing with a high volume of partners, then you've got a higher chance of there being a crossover of data. And so it's then up to you to decide who gets the reward when someone closes and someone buys your product or service. Is it the first person that introduced them to you? Is it the last person that introduced them to you and maybe got the sale over the line? Is it a mix of the two? Is there a split in percentages? Is it that the first person that introduced them, they've got a set period of time to convert them and then it's allowed to be someone else's lead? These are all things to consider. There is no right or wrong on them. It's just up to you to decide what you think's fair and what you think's right, and then communicate that with your partners and put them into the terms and conditions. And so that's it for our whistle stop tour of rewarding your introductions from referrers, partners and affiliates. Really hope you've got value from the video. Let me know if you have. If there's something you think I haven't covered, again, let me know. Or if there's specific questions about you and your business and your partner program, then again, please get in touch directly and would love to have a chat with you. If you'd enjoyed this video, then please like it, subscribe to the channel, get in touch, tell your friends, and look forward to seeing you on another video soon.